Hey everyone, my name is Taryn and thank you so much for stopping by my channel, Nicole Flower House. I grow cut flowers in Zone 7B in North Carolina. It is December, but I'm already making plans for what I want to have ready as far as seedlings for when we move into our new house in March. There's not a lot of seeds that you can start in December, but one of them that you can is Lisianthus. Lisianthus takes forever to grow from seed, but I've had decent luck with it. Sometimes my seeds germinate and do really well, and sometimes they don't. I bought brand new seeds this year from Johnny's, and I will be sharing the varieties with you. But I think when I have fresh seed, and also I've been getting pelleted seeds, and that has been working out better for me. The reason I don't buy plugs in is because I only want a few of each variety, and that's hard to do when you have to buy a whole tray of the same thing from a plug wholesaler. Hold on. Scully! What I have planned for my new garden is 2 beds of Lisianthus, and that is with a 4-inch spacing, about 288 plants. So a lot of the times you have to buy plugs in like a 125 tray or something like that. So that means I could only have 3 different colors. And I have selected 12 different colors that I'm going to be trying to grow from seed. I'm going to start 300 seeds with the hopes of getting 288 plants to put in the garden. But if they don't all make it, I will have some seeds left over and I can just start another round to fill in those gaps. I will be using soil blocks. I did, before we moved, buy myself the big soil blocker that you can make 300 soil blocks at one time, but it is packed in storage and I couldn't find it. And the only one I could find was my little mini one that makes 20 blocks at a time. But since I'm only doing 1 tray of Lisianthus right now, it wasn't that big of a deal to use the little mini soil blocker. So I have all of my seeds in here, and I'm going to show you which varieties I'm going to be planting. You will see that these seeds come in these little, I don't know, what is this, tube? It comes in a tube, which is nice. The seeds are pelleted, and that does make it a little hard for storing your packets. I really like to keep things organized, but keeping these, in my seed collection is just a little more challenging because of the shape of those tubes that they come in, but here they all are. Seeds are just so exciting. They're one of my favorite things ever. So I did order a bunch of other seeds from Johnny's and also Baker Creek that I can share with you in other videos as I plan out the new garden space. This one is Voyage Pink Improved. Voyage to First Love. This is one of my favorite ones. I love this one. If I have any extra spots, maybe I'll do extras of that one. This is Voyage to Blue. I also have Voyage to Lavender. Roseanne 3 Brown. Arena 3 Red. Arena 3 Baby Pink, another one of my favorites. Voyage to Champagne. Voyage to Light Apricot. Voyage to Green. This is Voyage to Yellow. And Voyage to White. Now you may have noticed that a lot of these are the same same series, like Voyage 2 and Arena 3. And if you pay attention to the series, they do have different bloom times. However, I have found that because my climate in North Carolina is so warm that the bloom times don't really change that much. It may be like a week or two, but I'm not gonna get like a 4-week staggered harvest out of the different series, just because our spring is so short, and then we hit like the mid 80s very quickly when we are progressing from spring into early summer. So I don't get a lot of variation, so I just kind of pick the colors that I like, and that is what works for me. I can also hold Lisianthus stems in my refrigerator and try to save some back that way. This year I may also try adding some shade cloth to these in the early summer to keep them a lot cooler, and maybe that will help keep them from all blooming at the same time. So we'll see if that works. All right, let's get started making the soil blocks and planting these out. This is not a tutorial on how to make soil blocks. There are a lot of other videos out there that are very detailed on recipes and how to do soil blocking correctly, and I'm not going into any of those details. I have seen everything from very specific recipes to Serena on You Can't Eat the Grass. She says, you can use any soil mix to make a soil block as long as the consistency with the soil in the water is correct. So I am just simplifying things this year. I don't really have access to everything that I normally would have to measure things out and make a specific recipe. So I'm just using my favorite potting soil mix, which is Coco Loco. Coco Loco is from Fox Farm, and I like it because it is peat free and it also has nutrition in it for the seedlings. Now I know technically you don't need nutrition for seedlings because they have all the nutrition they need in the seed. However, after a few weeks you do have to start feeding those seedlings, and Lisianthus are going to be growing for a very long time in my soil blocks. So I like to use something that does have added nutrition, and then I will still probably have to fertilize them eventually. And what I'll be using to do that is probably Neptune's Harvest fish fertilizer. Come here. Do you want to be on the video? Come here. There she is. There's Scully. Say hi. Look. I will tell you a funny story. Last year when I had started seeds and I used the Neptune's Harvest to feed my soil blocks, Scully thought that Neptune's Harvest smelled really good, and she ended up eating a whole tray of my soil blocks. So if you have pets and you're using something like fish emulsion, maybe be careful with their access to your seed room, because Scully just thought those were the most delicious little snacks. Which is so cute. They're so pretty. So here I am going to sift my potting soil out just to get the bigger pieces of bark out of here. When you are making soil blocks, especially the mini blocker, you can't have any pieces that are large because it will mess up the form of your mini block and it won't be a solid block. I'm going to add a few extra ingredients to this mix, some mycorrhizal fungi and some green sand from Gardener's Workshop. Again, I'm not being precise and I'm not going to measure these. Usually I use a recipe, but I'm just not this time. The fact that the bottom of this bowl is flat is important. That's where I'm going to be pressing out my blocks, and you need a nice solid surface to push the blocker down so that it gets nice and full. Next, I am going to take this mixture to my sink and add water. I did not film it and I did not measure it. I just made it into a consistency that works well for the soil blocker. Now, I did sow these seeds in a particular order. The way I find the easiest for me to visualize how I'm planting these in my garden beds is to have a photo in an album on my phone. And then I can rearrange the order how I want them so that I can get a nice color effect and add to the beauty of my garden that way. I also want to mention that I am dipping my toothpick in water to pick up these seeds, but when you are doing pelleted seeds, you just want your toothpick to be damp. You cannot have a drop of water on the end of the toothpick, or it's going to dissolve the pellet that seed is in, and then you won't be able to place it on your soil block. I personally choose to put one seed in each soil block because I just don't have the heart to thin my seedlings. I hate thinning seedlings, so I only put one per soil block, and then I sow a few extra so I hopefully don't have any gaps in the garden, but if I do, I'll just start more seeds. Next, I am going to sprinkle some vermiculite onto the top of these soil blocks. This is a very fine grade of vermiculite, so you don't want any big chunks. Now, I am definitely giving extra attention to my Lisianthus by using the sifter to put this vermiculite on. I'm only doing that because Lisianthus seeds are so small and they also need light to germinate, so I just want a very light dusting on top of this. After I finished that, I did use my mister to get the vermiculite nice and damp, and I covered it up with plastic to keep it humid so it will germinate better. These are just some dahlia cuttings from a dahlia called David Digweed. It's kind of hard to find, and I'm very amused by the name of this dahlia because I'm constantly digging weeds out of my garden. So I just decided to propagate that and see if I could get some more tubers using these cuttings. All right, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching these little seeds get put into their soil blocks, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.